Well, hello there. Happy Thursday, everyone. It's Pearl's Politics Day. Well, hey, Thomas, how you doing over there in UK? All right. I like the queen. The queen is on the scene. I hear you, Thomas. Thank you so much. So very kind. Okay, so it's another week for politics. And as you know, it's always something going on with politics. And so we're going to talk about a little bit of it tonight. And I got all my men with me tonight. All right. Kathy Cece can't be with us tonight, but let's start bringing in the man of the team. All right. The heartbeat of the South, every beat of my heart. Tim Harrington. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Mom, how's everybody doing?
Hey there. I think everybody doing all right.
All right.
Doing all right. I'm a little tired, but hey, I keep on pushing.
Yeah.
That's Curtis Mayfield. I know who that was. Keep
Uh-huh.
on pushing. All right.
Yeah.
We're not pushing anywhere though until we get the guy himself in here. Ziggy is here, Thomas. There he is. Hey,
Hi,
Ziggy.
everybody.
Thanks.
How's it going? All right. Excellent. Okay, so listen, y'all. Look, I got some good headlines for you tonight.
Okay.
And I'm going to get straight to it. A few days ago, as y'all know, the UN security vote last week got the world shake, rattling, and rolling. Some rolling in favor and some rolling against. Some happy, some not.
Right.
What the UN Security Council did, I think we talked about it last Thursday, was that the U.S. finally abstained from a UN security resolution, which allowed the Security Council to request an immediate ceasefire during the month of Ramadan. The problem with that is that Ramadan, the month of Ramadan has been going on for 2 weeks. And it's not but 2 weeks left, okay?
Yeah.
So, and right after, you would think, I didn't think, but I guess some people hope for that Netanyahu and his war cabinet would respect the resolution order, which is binding, by the way, because that's the Security Council, not the United Nations, all right? They had hoped that he would stop the firing, stop the bombing, stop the gunfire, but he didn't. And because he didn't, the world rapporteur from France came in. And this is what she had to say. Listen up, y'all.
As usual, I am announcing that the list of speakers will close in 15 minutes.
Okay, let's take you live now to Geneva, where the UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese is speaking about Israel's war on Gaza at the Human Rights Council. Let's have a listen in.
It is with the heaviest heart that I appear before you today to deliver my fourth report as the Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territory. Following nearly 6 months of unrelenting Israeli assault on occupied Gaza, it is my solemn duty to report on the worst of what humanity is capable of and to present my finding, the anatomy of a genocide. History teaches us that genocide is a process, not a single act. It starts with the dehumanization of a group as other and the denial of that group's humanity, and ends with the destruction of the group in whole or in part. The dehumanization of Palestinians as a group is the hallmark of their history of ethnic cleansing, dispossession, and apartheid. In the words of Edward Said, Palestinians were made orphans of a homeland by the creation of the State of Israel and its continuous policies, intended to erase their presence from their land. Genocide is defined in international law as specific sets of acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. It is often referred to as the crime of crimes due to its complexity and because of the challenge of proving the specific intent as the Convention requires. And yet, this complexity is not about the creation of a hierarchy among atrocity crimes. It's rather a reflection of a different nature and scale. The heightened threshold for intent, namely to destroy a group as prescribed by Article 2 of the Genocide Convention, must be proven directly or inferred from facts which admit of no other reasonable inference. But when genocidal intent is so conspicuous, so ostentatious as it is in Gaza, we cannot avert our eyes. We must confront genocide. We must prevent it, and we must punish it. The catastrophic situation I investigated is known, as it has been broadcast to the world in real time by its victims. Astoundingly, rather than halting its momentum, a minority of powerful member states have provided military, economic, and political support for the atrocity, compounding the devastation it has wrought for the Palestinians. In this assault, the sixth and most egregious in 16 years, Israel has killed more than 30,000 Palestinians, including 13,000 children, more than the children killed in all conflicts worldwide in 4 previous years. Journalists, doctors, nurses, artists, academics, engineers, scientists, and their family members. A whole society has been targeted. A further 12,000 Palestinians are reported missing, most presumed dead. Some 71,000 Palestinians are reported missing. Some 71,000 are injured, most with life-changing wounds, made worse by the decimation of the healthcare system and overwhelming unsanitary conditions created in Gaza. In the first 2 weeks, Israel prevented all humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, and in the ensuing months, it has imposed extreme restrictions of water, food, electricity, and fuel. Israel has blocked the entry of medical supplies, including anesthetics, incubators, and even baby formula. Convoys have hardly reached northern Gaza. The deliberate policy has induced rapid and sustained severe food insecurity in the entire population, with those trapped in the north forced to eat animal feed and grass. The occupying power has also undermined UNRWA, the main lifeline to Palestinians in Gaza. Growing numbers of Palestinians are dying of starvation as we speak, and the hostages and their families have also not escaped these devastating circumstances. The collective scars of those who survive are certain to last generations. In the initial weeks of the assault, Israeli forces killed around 250 Palestinians daily through an apocalyptic arsenal of weaponry on one of the most densely populated places on earth. 25,000 tons of explosives, equivalent to 2 nuclear bombs, unguided munitions, and hundreds of 2,000-pound bunker busters were used to level entire neighborhoods. The ground offensive changed the pattern, but not the scale of destruction. In less than 6 months, Israel has destroyed Gaza, erasing or severely damaging almost all civilian infrastructure and agricultural land, most of homes, healthcare facilities, telecommunication infrastructure, every university, most educational facilities, municipal services, mosques and churches, and innumerable cultural heritage sites, which are integral to the social fabric of Palestine. Israeli soldiers have published footage boasting about their killing of families, mothers, children, the bombing of homes, mosques and schools. Self-incriminating videos show them sadistically mocking and humiliating their Palestinian victims, not only by violating their physical integrity and right to life, but also their dignity, their most intimate possessions and spaces that the soldiers have entered and looted, and by desecrating cemeteries and places of worship. When the ground offensive started, the number of daily casualties seemed to reduce, but in fact, the level of atrocities increased. Mass disappearance and arbitrary detentions, widespread and systematic torture and inhumane treatment add to the experience of endless death and loss. Desperate people had to search through rubble with their bare hands. Many have been unable to bury and grieve loved ones. These acts of genocide have been motivated by vehement anti-Palestinian discourse, which characterizes the entire Palestinian people in Gaza as enemies to be eradicated or forcibly removed. This rhetoric has been pervasive across all segments of Israeli society. That Israeli high-ranking officials with command authority routinely called on soldiers to annihilate the people of Gaza is compelling evidence of explicit and public incitement to commit genocide. Evidence further indicates that this genocidal incitement has been internalized and acted upon by soldiers on the ground. One of my key findings is that Israel's executive and military leadership and soldiers have intentionally distorted rules of international humanitarian law, distinction, proportionality and precaution in an attempt to legitimize genocidal violence against the Palestinian people by deliberately stretching the definitions of human shield, evacuation orders, warnings, safe zones, collateral damage and medical protection. Israel has used their protective function as humanitarian camouflage, with the effect of concealing patterns of conduct from which the only inference can reasonably be drawn is a state policy of genocidal violence against the Palestinians. Blurring the distinction between protected civilians or civilian infrastructure and combatants or legitimate military targets, Israel has effectively characterized the whole civilian population in Gaza as human shields or terrorist accomplices as a matter of legal policy. Those who managed to evacuate to areas that Israel defined as safe humanitarian zones have been met with further attacks, their deaths and injuries justified as collateral damage. By making repeated claims which have been systematically discredited that Hamas used hospitals as operation centers, Israel appears to be operating on the premise that if you tell a lie long enough, people will believe it. Israel has used the camouflage of humanitarian law to characterize the entire Palestinian people and life-sustaining and life-saving infrastructure of Gaza as targetable, killable, destroyable. Israel has attempted to legitimize, for example, the devastations of Gaza's medical infrastructure, which has led to potentially thousands of additional deaths, life-changing injuries and trauma. IHL has thus been distorted to justify a war of annihilation. In light of this, I find that there are reasonable grounds to believe that the threshold indicating the commission of the crime of genocide against Palestinians as a group in Gaza has been met. Specifically, Israel has committed 3 acts of genocide with the requisite intent, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, and imposing measures intended to prevent birth within the group. The genocide in Gaza is the most extreme stage of a long-standing settler colonial process of erasure of the native Palestinians. For over 76 years, this process has oppressed the Palestinians as a people in every way imaginable. crushing their inalienable right to self-determination demographically, economically, territorially, culturally, and politically. Israel has attempted to displace them, expropriate their land and other resources, and ultimately replace them. The colonial amnesia of the West has condoned Israel's colonial settler project from the violent history of the very birth of the State of Israel to its oppressive occupation since 1967, the crippling closure of Gaza since 1993, and its military assaults on Gaza since 2007. The world now sees the bitter fruit of the impunity afforded to Israel. This was a tragedy foretold. While the International Criminal Court will have to deliberate, while the International Court of Justice will have to deliberate, the International Criminal Court will have to investigate. It is my responsibility to remind you that the Genocide Convention includes a jus cogens norm and erga omnes obligation to prevent the commission of genocide, a reality the International Court of Justice recognized as plausible exactly 2 months ago. The time for states to act was then, and as they did not, the time is now. In this darkest hour, the international community cannot continue to ignore that it's Israel's project to rid Palestine of Palestinians in defiance of international law and the world's failure to call Israel to account that has led to genocide laid bare in Gaza. Denial of the reality and the continuation of Israel's impunity and exceptionalism is no longer viable, especially in light of yesterday's binding Security Council resolution. I implore member states to abide by their obligations, which start with imposing an arms embargo and sanctions on Israel, and so ensure that the future does not continue to repeat itself. Thank you.
I thank you.
Okay, if you were just joining us, we were just listening to the UN Special Rapporteur, Francesca Albanese, presenting her report to the Human Rights Council, saying that there are reasonable grounds that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. We're joined now by our diplomatic editor, James Bays. James, an impassioned and powerful testimony by Francesca Albanese. Talk us through some of the key highlights that she went through.
Anatomy of a Genocide is the report that she was just presenting. These reports don't normally have titles. She gave it a title, and that is the case that she made. She's a human rights lawyer who, before she got this job as an independent advisor to the Human Rights Council, also served 10 years in the UN. So she knows the UN system and how it works. She knows this file extremely well, and she went through why she says this is a genocide through the various things that constitute a genocide to prove that they had taken place, including the fact, of course, that they were killing Palestinians, which are the group that she's claiming have been targeted for genocide, saying, yes, we know well over 30,000 Palestinians dead, but she said another 12,000 almost certainly dead under the rubble, and the amount of explosives used by the Israeli military, about 25,000 tons, she estimated. That's the equivalent, she said, of 2 nuclear bombs. And she said it's not just the genocide, as we know from the discussions in the International Court of Justice in January, which has also been discussing a genocide case. You need to prove intent of genocide. She said that there have been quotes from all sorts of Israeli officials, all the way up the command structure, right the way to the defense minister and Prime Minister Netanyahu, that prove genocide. She said the genocide intent was actually so ostentatious in this case that Israel wasn't covering up what it was doing. She said they were also perverting the international humanitarian law, using it to justify what she said was their war of annihilation. And she said that Israel was working on the premise that if you tell a lie enough times, people will start believing it.
James, tell us why reports like this, testimony like this matters, because people watching this may wonder, especially after the UNSC vote yesterday, which has been rejected by Israel. This testimony by Francesca Albanese has also been rejected by Israel. Why does it matter in terms of the bigger picture when nothing seems to be appears to be changing on the ground? Yeah,
Israel has already said her report is an obscene inversion of reality. And Israel, it's worth noting, has not let the Special Rapporteur or any of her three predecessors who did the job in to even examine the situation. She has to examine it from evidence from afar. So there is a problem with her post and what she can achieve. But add to what you have seen this year so far, the International Court of Justice, its provisional measures, that ruling, the UN Security Council, it took almost 6 months, but it has voted for a ceasefire. Israel will ignore that as well. The fact that in that Security Council meeting 24 hours ago, there was applause at the end. There's never normally applause at the end of a Security Council meeting when a vote is cast. There was applause at the end of this meeting, very unusual, and those people applauding, they're not members of the public, they're ambassadors who are applauding, showing what they're feeling. And I think in the Security Council in the last 24 hours, you saw Israel. Yes, the US didn't vote for the resolution, it abstained, but Israel was alone. And I think what is slowly developing is global isolation and condemnation for Israel. It's developing into a situation where it could become a pariah state. Go back maybe to apartheid in South Africa. Then that country for 20 years was eventually suspended from the United Nations. For 20 years, it wasn't even allowed to take part in UN activities. And I think it's that sort of isolation and global disdain that Israel might be facing. And it's exactly that this weekend that the US Secretary of State warned Prime Minister Netanyahu of when he talked about the possible Rafah offensive. He said Israel is facing global condemnation and a real tarnishing of its reputation long term.
OK, thank you for that, our diplomatic editor, James.
All right, then. So, as you can see, the lady has done her homework. And she has the videos. And now we can see a little bit of it in the background that while I'm going to mute it just a minute. While the anchor, James Bays of Arizona, was being interviewed by the anchor lady there. They were showing the pictures, a few, and these were nice pictures of the destruction, because I have been watching Al Jazeera on YouTube ever since October 7th. And I have seen some very, very sad, unconscionable acts of genocide that this particular military state, since they say they're a democratic state, has put on these people. All right. So at the end, there were two things that I really that's really struck out at me. All right. And that was, she said, if you tell a lie enough times, long enough, people will believe it. And so you don't get the real story on the main media streams in the west of the country over here in the United States. They don't show what's happening over there in Gaza. All they do is show the IDF side of it. And why is that? Is it because they think that the images are too devastating for people to see, and that the children and young people over here should not be exposed to the devastating imagery that is the real truth of people being killed, annihilated, limbs torn off, bleeding, blood everywhere? Is that it? Or is it just because they're trying to hide the real truth? What do you think, Tim?
Blah, 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 blah. Talk. Talk is cheap. Do something. Let's be clear. We're talking about people that, when you commit genocide, are dying probably every hour on the hour.
Minutes.
No one, by the time they get through talking, it won't be anybody to save. Right? So it's still unacceptable, because understand, Netanyahu has the same response. Blah, 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 blah. Talk. He's not intimidated, not one bit. And who would be? Because that's all y'all doing is talking. It's just different people talking. If it's not different people, it's the same people talking.
You said the right thing now.
Yeah, somebody.
That's we've been talking for 6 months.
6
We're in
months.
the war. This war is going on for 6 months.
Yeah.
James, what do you think?
I think the good Lord is looking down, and he said, I thought I fixed this problem once. Maybe it's time for a wake-up call.
I'm glad that you mentioned that from the higher Almighty, the Lord, because I've got something to show you. The other that ties right in with the other thing that she said that stuck out to me. Well, actually, this was the anchor, James Bay. He says that Anthony Blinken, which I heard Anthony Blinken when he made this statement at the press camera, little short video when he was getting off the plane, landing back in the United States after he had visited with Netanyahu in the war cabinet. He said that he told Prime Minister Netanyahu that at this point, if he proceeds with the ground invasion of Rafah, which is the last space, y'all, in the whole Gaza Strip that these people have where they are stuck, right? There is nowhere else to go. They're already up against the fence, against the border, because Egypt has an iron fence border, tall fence, iron, y'all, at its border. So they can be pushed over to Egypt, which is what Netanyahu don't care where they go, right? But let me tell you something. The funny thing is, Prime Minister Egypt said no, they're not accepting. They're not going to accept any refugees from Gaza. And but yet still, the other thing that Prime Minister of Cairo, Egypt said was this. He said Israel better not come send no bullets over there across that border. Yeah, if the people try to crawl the wall and they shoot at the people and the bullets come over there in Egypt, Egypt has already lined its side of the border with military. They already got their tanks lined up. They already got their brigades lined up. They ain't playing with Netanyahu. They said, you don't bring the war over here on this side of the border. They not accepting refugees, unfortunately. But they also saying Netanyahu and his war cabinet is not coming across that border firing at nobody and trying to find no Hamas either. All right. Back to your part, James, where you said you think the good Lord is looking down and say he thought he fixed this problem. Well, let me share this with you, because this is what I was looking at. And I've been looking at this scripture for a long time. Because I had to look up the history. You know, I'm a researcher. I had to look up the history of, because this is a 75-year-old situation between the Palestinians and the Israelites. Look at what the Bible says. Zedekiah, 14th chapter, verse 1. A day of the Lord is coming when your plunder will be divided among you. All right, talking to Israel. Listen, verse 2. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem. All the nations, that means Egypt, that means Iran, that means United States, that means China, that means Russia, and more. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. Against Jerusalem. I will gather all the nations to Jerusalem to fight against it. The city will be captured, the houses ransacked, and the women raped. Half of the city will go into exile, but the rest of the people will not be taken from the city. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations. After him and the angels get finished with Jerusalem, Netanyahu, and Israel, he said, then he gonna fight against the nation. That's the United States, Russia, China, Iran, Egypt, all of them. He said, as he fight in the day of battle. All right. So see, Netanyahu and the Jewish nation, they don't believe in Jesus Christ. They don't believe in the New Testament.
They don't.
And there's a history. I can explain it, but that's a whole nother show as to why the Jews don't believe in the New Testament. But I'll give you a brief version. The reason why the Jews from the Old Testament didn't believe in Jesus when he came in the New Testament is because when he did come, they had thought that he was supposed to free them from the Roman domination, occupation. And he didn't do that. But that because really that wasn't the reason that he came, but they just felt that that's something he was supposed to do. When Jesus came down the first time, they just felt that this is something he was supposed to do. He was supposed to free them from the Roman occupation, and he didn't. And because he didn't what? They didn't believe in him. And this has been their rule of the Torah, which is their scripture, their book, their Bible. Hey, Jack. This is their rule, and this is their belief, and they still believe it. It's been carried down generation. So then you don't believe that all of these nations now, because see, that is one thing that the anchor James Days asked at the end, as he said, has Israel become isolated, and has Israel become condemned? And so it looks like it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now Israel is alone. And yeah. And so today, even, this is what I heard. I heard today that after the rapporteur, Francesca gave her delivery a few days ago, I think it was Monday. Now, I can't find this anywhere. I've seen it on the Al Jazeera report, which I'm going to show you. But it's not being broadcasted. It's not being advertised. And the United States media, Western media, had said nothing about it. But the ITC, International Court of Justice, came down with this on today. Listen to what they said.
Joining me now in the studio is Mustafa Barghouti, the Secretary General of the Palestinian National Initiative Party. Thank you for joining the program, Mr. Barghouti. So I wanted to start by getting your reaction to these new measures that have been introduced by the ICJ in order to get more food aid into Gaza. Do you think it's going to make a difference to the situation on the ground?
It's an important step, and it should be followed actually by another resolution to enforce complete and total cessation of all military activities by Israel, which means an order from the International Court of Justice demanding immediate ceasefire in the language that they usually use, which is cessation of military activities or hostile activities. I think this is now very important to achieve. And I think this would have an impact at many levels. But it is clear that Israel will not stop unless sanctions are imposed on Israel, unless punitive acts are taken to force Israel to stop. Netanyahu wants to proceed with this terrible war, and he is now even promising even a much bigger massacre by attacking Rafah.
The reaction from the international community to the last ICJ ruling, which was back in January, was muted. In fact, the day after, the focus of many countries was on pulling funding out of UNRWA. Are you disappointed in how the international community has reacted to the events in Gaza?
Of course we are disappointed, especially by Western governments, and especially by the United States, which, by the way, tried to even mute the most recent decision of the Security Council resolution by creating a debate about whether it is obligatory or not obligatory. I mean, and this was not part of any discussion. Of course, any Security Council resolution obliges all members of the United Nations to implement it or to respect it. The United States is playing a game here and continues to support Israel. And of course, that has created a very dangerous moment at the international community. This particular aggression by Israel, this particular genocide that Israel is practicing, and the fact that so many Western governments are providing protection to Israel, allowing it to continue, is going to disturb the whole international order. It simply sends a message to the world that there is no more international law. That's very dangerous.
We did finally see a vote pass at the UNSC calling for a ceasefire. Does that give you hope, though, that something has changed just a little bit, that the international community is now finally starting to wake up to what is happening in Gaza?
Yes, but what gives me hope really are not these governments that have been so lazy and so much delaying the decisions they should have made 5 months ago. But what gives me hope is the people of the world, the people who forced many governments to change their position, the public pressure that made Canadian government suspend and stop supplying Israel with military equipment. The same public pressure that is taking place now in Britain, in France, in Europe, everywhere in the world. And that public pressure, in my opinion, will lead now to wide range of sanctions and punitive acts against Israel. Sanctions and boycott. This is what worked in the case of South Africa. And this is what would work in the case of Israel. And look at what's happening there. They are having some sort of collapse internally. They are even unable to make decisions because the world is fed up with their crimes.
You are from Gaza originally. I believe you've already lost some family during the course of this.
I'm from West Bank, not from Gaza. But
you have family in Gaza.
Apologies.
How do you feel when you look at the images on the screen of the children that are now starving and the suffering that people have endured? How do you look at it all and take it in?
It's beyond shock. This morning I was talking to my colleagues. We have 32 medical teams working there. One of them was describing to me what happened. They've been besieged for 11 days by Israeli tanks. His brother was killed. The children of his brother were killed. He had to take a big risk by running away from his house. And he told his children, either we will die while we are staying here because they are bombarding us, or let's take the risk and run away. He told me horrible stories about families being burned inside houses, completely burned and killed. Families totally eliminated. 23, one family lost 23, another one 16, another. The whole place around Shifa Hospital is completely destroyed now. It's very huge pain because the people who are dying are people I know. Some of them are people I've worked with. Some of them have done wonderful work in their life to help their own people. And now they're dying. And what hurt me most is that I was talking to one journalist whom I didn't speak to for about since the beginning of the war. And I was happy to hear his voice. And I asked him, how are you doing? And he said, you know, I'm okay. I lost my wife and my child. And I said, oh, I'm very sorry. I feel very sorry for that. He said, it's all right. Many others have lost more people. It's really so painful to hear such a thing, or to see that baby who is 5 years old, who lost both of his hands, asking his father, Father, will my hands grow again when I grow up? This is the kind of atrocity and the kind of suffering that many leaders in the world refuse to see. And sometimes I ask myself, have they lost any ability to feel the pains of others?
Mustafa Barghouti, Secretary General of the Palestinian National Initiative Party. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, then. You heard it. Tim.
You know, 48 laws of power. The enemy of my enemy, the friend of my enemy is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I in no way condone what Netanyahu is doing, but let's just look at it. In order to catch a criminal, sometimes you have to think like a criminal, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, it was apparent very early that his goal was to wipe out a race, right?
Right.
There's a saying, an old saying that says, "There's a method to my madness,"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So you take that and what you just pointed out to us about this is the last place that these people can go,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the last place they can go, and my only restriction is not to make sure that my bullets don't cross the border,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to help the people.
Mm-hmm.
My only restriction is that my bullets don't cross your border.
Right. Right.
And I'm looking over this whole thing, and I was thinking about the whole 6 months. Well, maybe not the whole 6 months, but I know you've been following it.
Yep.
And it just hit me that it was a method to his madness.
It still is, because he's planning to still do a ground invasion. It was
Absolutely.
announced. I was watching the Israeli ILTV station this evening. That's their channel 7 in Israel. And the reporter said that the Prime Minister Netanyahu says that he will go forward with the ground invasion, full ground invasion, around April the 15th, which will be right after Ramadan ends, and it will last about 2 months. But here's the thing. He's already firing bullets and shooting missiles into I can't call the name of the city now. Rafah.
Uh-huh.
He's already sent it every day. That is a report on Al Jazeera. If you want to know the truth and see what's going on a daily basis, I encourage everyone, please watch Al Jazeera news station. They're funded by the Qatar. They're not funded by the Western media companies. They're not funded by the UK media companies. So if you want to see the truth of what's happening, watch Al Jazeera. A-L-Z, Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera. A-L-J-A-Z-E-R-R-E-E-R-A, rather.
Yeah, and the United States pulling out now, it's too late for all that. It really is.
They're trying to pull out at the 11th hour. Guess what they said today happened?
Go ahead.
Then you talked about Biden in the United States like a dog after they abstained and didn't veto this time, right? He pulled his delegation. There was a delegation supposed to be going so the United States supposed to show them how to do the target Hamas without a ground invasion. He said he was not sending the delegation. He said if they're not going to be with us, there's nothing to talk about. I heard him. This is what I heard come out of his mouth. So after the ITC, the International Court of Justice, sent their order out today, guess what he said today? Now he gonna reschedule the delegation visit. So he gonna send some delegates to the United States now, but he's still gonna invade Rafah.
Yeah.
So he's trying to play. He's trying to sit on the fence and so he don't fall off either side. He just wants to sit on the fence until he makes his move. And I'm upset with the International Court of Justice. You know why?
Why is that?
Because when they first made the ruling in February, they gave Israel and Netanyahu 30 days to give a report to them of how they were not committing acts of genocide and violations of international law, right?
Yeah.
30 days gone. 30 days gone. That means that it would have been due in March, this month, March the 28th, today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, the International Court of Justice turns around and gives him another 30 days.
Yeah.
About Talk about give them a report. He hadn't even submitted the first damn report. Excuse me. Oh, I got upset. He hadn't even. He hadn't even. Y'all know I don't cuss.
It's in the Bible.
He had not even sent the first report. And now they asking him to send a second one. I mean, how crazy can you be? You're supposed to be the largest decision-making organization in this whole wide world. But you making yourself look stupid and ignorant.
Well,
if I told somebody to send me a report within 30 days and it was due today, and I had not got that report, there's no way I'm gonna turn around and give you another 30 days to tell me, to rebut, because really what they're doing now is giving him an extra 30 days to report what they say he.
Well, if you look at the whole picture in totality, if you give me an inch, I'm gonna take a mile.
There you go.
And that's exactly what he's been doing. That's why I say it's a plan to his madness.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept on inching and kept taking miles and kept taking miles, and he's
still getting miles.
Exactly.
And this is what the whole world got to ask. They were so busy talking about, I'm talking about the White House now, and the Biden administration, and every single Democrat that kept on saying Trump is not above the law. Trump, it should not be above the law. You're prosecuting Trump. You done put how many? About what, 40, 20?
40
charges
something
against the man.
Yeah.
So how is it that Israel can be above international law? Why is that? You cannot be a hypocrite like that. You just can't. And this is what is going to get Biden in trouble. This is what's going to get the United States into War 3.
Right. We can see what Biden is trying to do. This is a political move. It's an election year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but he's too late. He's a day late and a dollar short. Mm-hmm. We the people are not going for it. We're not falling for it. Mm-hmm. We've endured all that we're going to endure. And come time to vote, he's going to be out of there.
And he knows that. That's the reason why he's trying to act like he ain't an Netanyah's puppet. Because today, it was reported. I don't know how true it is, because everything that's reported by Western media is not true. But it was reported that Israel was asking for some specific type of weapon, and that the guy, the commander that's over the military, sent word to Netanyahu that they wasn't going to give it to him. But you know,
but it runs deep.
It's a drop in the bucket. Doesn't drop in the bucket though, because he's just asking for a specific kind of weapon. But I already done sent you every kind of weapon that exists.
That's what I was finna say. That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah.
James, come on in here and talk to us.
What do you want me to talk about? What I was talking before?
Talk about what? We're gonna switch subjects. That's a good segue. Yeah, come on, James.
Today on the news, you all heard about the young 31-year-old New York City cop that got shot. I forget his name, but they had his funeral today on the news. And Donald Trump went, met with the family, and gave his condolences. Biden and Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, wouldn't go to they weren't welcome anyway. So the wife told all of them to stay out.
Really?
Don't bother coming.
Wow.
because they're the ones that started this defund the police.
Mm-hmm.
So Donald Trump went and gave his condolences, and Eric Adams, by news conference, said his piece with Biden's calling him saying, "Hey, tell him we said sorry." He didn't even want to show up. It was more important for him to go today to Rockefeller Center, him, Clinton, and Obama, to have their little fundraiser. It's more important for him to do that than it was to go to a fallen officer's funeral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard something about they little gathering today, Obama, Clinton, and talk about Hillary Clinton, or was it Bill?
Bill.
I bet he withered up now. I haven't seen him lately by his face, but I can imagine he pretty withered. Lieberman died. Senator Lieberman died today.
Yeah.
He was a Jewish senator, so our condolences to him and his family.
And he was a patriot too.
Yeah. Yeah, to go just touch a little bit on what you stated, James. You know, Trump did what a real chief would do. He played the position. He's still been playing the position of the president, even though he's not has the official title. We still recognize him as
politically motivated.
Right. We have more respect for him than we do of Biden. And you know, it's sad to say, but bravo to that mother. Bravo to her.
And
they got a 2-year-old kid too.
Really? Wow.
The kid will have to be raised without his father. What I don't understand, that really upset me, is with their fundraiser today, still people are donating, and they're projected to donate $25 million to his campaign.
For Trump?
No. For Biden and Obama.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
$25 million. And they got all kinds of artists going there to sing.
Oh, really?
Perform. One ticket alone to get a picture with the presidents, it's going to cost you $100,000. Would you do that?
Well, this is going to be one of the cases when it comes to November. This is going to be one of the cases where money won't talk.
Yeah.
And also the BS ain't going to walk.
Nah.
$100,000 though to get a picture with Democrats? I don't think so.
If they got it, they can spend it like they want to. I ain't mad at them the way they want to spend their money. But getting back to Israel.
Yeah.
There's no honor among thieves, y'all.
No.
Donald Trump's campaign ain't doing too good. So if you can all afford it, try to donate to Donald Trump's campaign so we can.
We don't do that. We do not solicit political donations on the show, James. Sorry. You didn't know. You didn't know.
I donate though.
Well, that's sure if you do, but we cannot do it on the show. Okay. All right then. So listen, back to Israel. There's no honor among thieves. All right. There's a rift going on within Netanyahu's government. All right. They're on two fronts. One of the rifts is that the people really want him out. A large portion of the people are upset with the way he has handled this war. And mostly because he has not succeeded in what he said he was going to do by bringing all the hostages home. He has not done it. They have grown impatient, and they doing marches over there. They do and they doing protests.
Okay.
Rift number 2, the young people. All right, he got the young people all riled up now because started April the 1st, he finna reinforce the draft bill, meaning that everybody that's 18 and above in Israel, starting April the 1st, are going to be drafted into the military. Why is there such a rift? Okay, the rift is this. 75 years ago, there was a law in the books that allowed, say maybe 100 men from each village not to be drafted. They were exempt from the draft. Why? Because they were to study the biblical scriptures of the Torah, so that they could one day be rabbis, so they could keep their rabbi generation going, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now that Netanyahu's in a war, regardless of his boast about how they winning, and his big and irregardless of his boast about they haven't lost many soldiers and that they've killed 20,000, 30,000 Hamas soldiers of the enemy, why is he putting the mandatory draft in? Because they say that now there are 70,000 young people, 18 and over, that would be affected by this bill, by this law, which will go in effect in a few weeks, in a couple of weeks. Well, in a few days, really, because this is 29, 28, 29, 30, 31, April, 4 days. 4 days. So the people are mad about that, and they're asking the cassette, which is what they call their government, the cassette. They're asking the cassette, please, please make a decision to veto Netanyahu's law bill that he has put before the government, the cabinet, because they don't want their children to have to go into this war. 4 days is all they got. And so far, the cassette cabinet, which is their branch of government, is sitting doing nothing, just like the government in Washington. Sitting, doing nothing, while all the people are dying. So many people are dying. Boys, women, children, women. The cassette government over there in Israel sitting doing nothing, while 70,000 children are going to be forced to go to war. And did you know, the military, and did you know that they will lock them up? Israel locks up its own citizens if they refuse to go to war. To be drafted, if they refuse to answer the call. Tim.
Yeah, well, I keep going back to the same thing. There's a method to his madness. Now, he used even an old maneuver that we used to use in the United States. When you committed a violent enough crime, you were given a choice whether you go to prison or you go to the service.
But these people haven't committed a crime.
Right.
Some of them are studying the Torah. They want to be rabbis. Many of them are in college studying, and they get at universities, want to get degrees.
Yeah.
And be doctors, lawyers, nurses, have vocations. But he's saying on April 1st, Netanyahu says on April 1st, they're going to be drafted into the military.
Well, it's imperative that he finish the mission.
Mm.
Yeah, that's by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's not be fooled here. He has a mission, and he's trying to complete his mission, and that's by any means necessary.
He don't care about his own people, does he?
No, he don't really care about himself if the mission is not complete.
That sounds like a madman to me.
Yeah, he wants to go down in history.
Oh, he already in history. He already in history books.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But he wanted to outdo the other ones.
Hitler
and Napoleon. And he's done it.
And Pharaohs.
Yeah. Pharaoh let my people go.
That's a good one to take a break on, y'all. Look, we haven't had a break tonight, so we got to take a couple of breaks, y'all, and we will be back. So stick and stay, don't go away.
This what we're going in for right now. This garden clip.
Bruh, it's time.
It's time. Whoa, look at all that meat made me hungry. All right. We're going to cut it off right here, except that I want to show you this right here about the Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox Jews. And these are the people that are the ones that got the 70,000 children that Netanyahu wants to send to war. So what is the difference between Orthodox and ultra-Orthodox? Well, I learned something today because I just thought it was Orthodox Jews, right?
Yeah.
But there's an ultra-Orthodox.
Oh.
And it says, yeah, it says the ultra-Orthodox are often referred to in Hebrew as Haredim, meaning those who tremble in the presence of God because they are God-fearing. Unlike the Orthodox, the ultra-Orthodox continue to reject Zionism. Look at that word now. It's important because I'm going to tell you about Zionism. They continue to reject this Zionism, at least in principle, as blasphemous. All right, so why is that word Zionism important? It's important because Biden is a Zionist. Biden is a Zionist, and the United States was built upon Zionism.
Okay.
What is Zionism? Zionism is a state of mind, a state of principle, and a state of law where they feel that they could come, take your land, kill by any means necessary, like what Tim says, and just ain't nothing supposed to be done about it. They don't get punished.
It sounds familiar to me.
Well, yeah, because they did that over here in the Americas to the Indians.
Absolutely.
When we did slavery.
Absolutely.
When slavery came about. So that's a form of Zionism. That's what Zionism is. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the United States is built upon Zionism, and so was the state of Israel. Okay. And so these Orthodox Jews don't believe in Zionism. In fact, these are the ones that are doing the protest marches over there now. Okay. And the ultra-Orthodox, they getting ready to protest. They already protesting. I saw them today. with my own eyes. And when I talk about stuff on this show, I'm talking about stuff I done heard with my own ears and what I saw with my own eyes, and not what somebody told me, just to make that clear. I saw them today. They mad about Netanyahu want to take their children and put them in military in this war. And I don't blame them. But here's the kick. The big kicker is these ultra orthodox, they make up the largest percent of the government cabinet, cabinet in the government. So if Netanyahu puts this act, I mean, if the cabinet government doesn't do anything by April 1st, and this mandatory a service to the military draft becomes effective on April the 1st, then what will these ultra-Orthodox Jews do? They're going to try to have a special election and they're going to form a coup. In other words, they're going to form a coup and they're going to try to kick Netanyahu out.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
So you see, it's not, you see all this mess that Netanyahu has caused.
Yeah.
Not only has he caused a rift all around the world and a double whammy rift to Biden and his administration, but now it has trickled down and has caused the rift within his own house, right around his own front door and back door.
Yeah.
Inside his house.
Yeah, but I still think I'm not supporting this guy, y'all. Let me be clear. I'm a patriot. I served our country. I just have a little bit more insight.
Because you have the military.
Right, for us thinking like a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the rift inside of his house, that would really be a problem if we were dealing with a
What Tim, is he gonna have him drink the Kool-Aid?
There's no telling. There's no telling, and there's no limit to what he will do. I think that they can underestimate
the old kings, like the kings used to do back in the old time, invite them to a big feast.
Yeah.
And poison them at the feast.
Yeah. You cannot underestimate this guy at any turn.
He's a madman, all right.
At any turn.
And I told everybody that he was Antichrist.
Yeah.
On October the 8th. They didn't believe me, but they see it now with their own eyes. Because
let me ask you a question. You're a little bit more in tune with it. You don't think that he had thought about this or has a plan for this?
Look, Netanyahu has been planning this for 25 years. To answer your question, you know, Netanyahu has been planning this for the whole 25 years that he has been in office. And he has been prime minister over Israel for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
He's been planning this from day one, from when he got in office. He just couldn't get a shot at it because the United States has never had a president that's as weak as Biden and friends with him, as bigger friends with him as Biden.
Yeah.
And I don't tell him what kind of dirt Netanyahu got on Biden.
You're right. You're right.
They've been friends for 25 years, y'all. It's a lot of dirt in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Politics makes some nasty, dirty bedfellows.
Yeah.
And Netanyahu got some dirt on him. He got some blackmail on him. He got some blackmail on him. That's the hidden reason why Biden has to do what he's been doing.
Right.
But it's not gonna come out until 20 years from now. You see what I'm saying? But it's some dirt in that relationship.
Yeah.
There's something crooked in it.
Yeah, a whole lot can happen.
In it.
A whole lot can happen in 25 years.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right. as I started the show with saying this, free thought is a philosophy, not a policy. I want to end the show with saying that free thought is a philosophy, rather. It's not a policy. Please, people, don't get brainwashed like how you got the folk brainwashed over there. Please use your own brain, use your own thoughts, think your own mind. All right? They're trying to do over here in the United States the same thing that they've done over there in Israel, brainwash the population. But we're not having it. We're not having it. You got a twisted brother. We are not having it, and we ain't taking it, and it's not finna start. So they've been trying to do it now for the past 4 years, but all of that finna come to an end.
Oh, yeah.
On your good time, not come to an end. So what Lou Ross said. All right, y'all. Closing thoughts, Tim.
Oh, man, another wonderful show. Very informative. Can't wait to do it again next Thursday.
Excellent, excellent. James, closing thoughts.
Quick and to the point. What a kick in the pants to all the military vets out there. That I heard on the news today that people are leaving the U.S. because of the stuff going over to the Ukraine. Or not Ukraine,
UK.
UK. Don't give up, people. Fight for what is right. This is our country.
I agree. Excellent, James. Excellent. Well, they're not running to anywhere because their prime minister over there just as weak as Biden.
Yep.
I agree.
All right, big y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining in with us. Thank you. We enjoyed y'all. Thank you, Jack and Thomas, for coming in. We apologize for not being able to get to all your comments tonight, but we had so much important coverage that I had to cover. We had to touch on it. We had to get it out there because
a lot of things happen.
You got to have somebody to stand up and tell the true facts. If you want true politics, if I'm down to the raw nitty-gritty of what it really is, what it really means, and what's really going on, you better keep tuning in to Pearl's Politics, and we're going to tell you like the TIT is. All right? Yeah. That's our time. We love y'all. Good night, everybody.